Okay. Hello and welcome to the CSU system-wide CSUBUY procure-to-pay or P2P demo series. We're excited to have you join us as we continue preparing for the rollout of CSUBUY P2P across all CSU campuses. CSUBUY P2P is a comprehensive system-wide solution designed to streamline and standardize the full procure-to-pay process. This powerful tool brings together multiple functions under one platform, including supplier self-registration and access to a system-wide shared supplier database, requisition entry and purchase order issuance, receipt tracking and payment processing, and a centralized location for routing and collecting all necessary financial and compliance approvals. By integrating these capabilities, CSUBUY P2P supports greater efficiency, transparency, and consistency in our procurement and payment activities across the CSU system. Today's session is not a training session, but is for general exposure before you'll be given access to a test instance in September. Formal hands-on training will be provided closer to the go-live date. So this is intended as a peek behind the curtain, so you can see how the system behaves. So our agenda today, here's what we'll cover. We'll start with a brief introduction to CSUBUY, then review the overall project timeline and the current status. We'll provide some context for compliance approvers in the new P2P system, and then we'll move into the demo itself. So first, to support the CO core team with the P2P implementation, the non-live campuses have been organized into regional groups, with each group assigned a strategic advisor. The strategic advisors are Carrie Schmidt, Nicole Lack, myself, Sarah Rumiano, and Tawny Fleming. Each of us bring extensive experience and expertise in the procure-to-pay process. And we are here to help guide and support the campuses throughout the implementation journey. Note the live campuses are shown with green dots. The first two campuses successfully went live with P2P in October of 2023, marking a major milestone in the system-wide transformation. Since then, two additional waves have continued the momentum, bringing more campuses onto the platform. With the introduction of the Chancellor's Multi-University Collaboration Initiative, the timeline for full implementation has been accelerated. As a result, the remaining campuses are now scheduled to go live by early 2026, ensuring that the entire CSU system benefits from a united, modern procure-to-pay solution.
Before we dive into functionality, let's take a moment to review the vision and goals of CSUBUY P2P. Understanding the why helps us better understand the design and decisions that have shaped this project. Our vision for CSUBUY P2P is to standardize procurement processes across the CSU, reduce manual steps, and drive efficiencies through automation. Ultimately, this means saving time, reducing risk, and lowering costs. The objectives of P2P are centered around creating a streamlined, integrated platform that simplifies and enhances how we manage procurement and payments across the CSU system. The graphic on this slide visually represents the entire procure-to-pay life cycle and the key functions that P2P supports. Starting with shopping for goods and services, users can engage in procurement with access to preferred, contracted, and sustainable suppliers. This flows into requisitioning, ordering, and receiving, all of which are handled in a centralized environment with fewer manual steps. The process continues with invoicing and payment, emphasizing automation, minimal touch points, and visibility throughout. What's important to understand in the P2P is P2P will replace many fragmented campus-specific tools and manual workflows currently in use. It consolidates supplier management, including supplier self-registration and a shared system-wide supplier database, requisition creation, purchase order insurance, receipts, and invoice processing all into one cohesive system. While P2P will integrate with PeopleSoft CFS, allowing for necessary financial synchronization, the day-to-day work will take place within the P2P platform. For example, users will initiate and approve requisitions, manage POs, and review receipts and invoices all within P2P. To keep these demos digestible, we are breaking them down into fully functionality of P2P into multiple demo sessions, each highlighting different aspects of the platform.
The P2P platform offers a range of valuable benefits. For suppliers, it ensures timely payments and provides convenient self-service tools to track invoice and payment status. For internal users, it streamlines the purchasing experience and automatically routes requisitions and purchase orders to include all necessary financial and compliance approvals. The new P2P platform will replace the current CSU marketplace that requires a P card to complete transactions. So it will also reduce the amount of monthly transactions that will need to be reconciled. At the system-wide level, the platform enhances data quality, increases visibility across campuses, and supports our ongoing commitment to operational efficiency, accountability, and strategic improvement. This slide shows our high-level timeline. The 14 campuses that are part of this acceleration project are currently in the implementation phase, with readiness and deployment activities scheduled through early 2026. So a quick disclaimer. Please keep in mind that this demo is being shown in the current test site, and it may go into Chico's production site as well. So you may see functionality that's still pending the P2P 14 project's review and campus user acceptance testing. So your campus-specific final configuration is subject to change. This slide shows the options for requisition workflow in CSU P2P, from submitting a request to creating the purchase order. The process includes key reviews for fiscal approval, compliance checks like IT, facilities, which we're on now, and legal, and finally, procurement authorization. Each step is triggered based on the details of the requisition, helping ensure accuracy, policy alignment, and accountability before any purchase was finalized. Now we're going to shift to the facilities portion of today's session. This will lay the foundation for understanding what you'll see in the demo. The functionality remains the same in CSUBUY, the steps and process are consistent. However, please note that the evaluation of the requisition may differ depending on the form or commodity code used. This distinction is important to keep in mind as we move through the facilities workflow.
All right, so a couple of things from me. My name is Sarah. I'm from the Chico campus, and I wanted to kind of give a little bit of some framework around the demo, our present versus future state. So your present, our present at Chico prior to CSUBUY was what normally done. A facilities review was an email. Or it was, hey, you've got to email so-and-so to find out if, this piece of equipment can be plugged into the wall in this certain building. So any time we needed facilities to weigh in on a requisition, any of the buyers would reach out to facilities directly via email to accomplish that. There's different workflow triggers that cause a requisition to jump into the facilities workflow. So it's the yes to goods and services form, questions that relate to installation. So if installation required, yes, then it will route. Or if the commodity code is listed as 150007 or furniture, or if there is a specific facilities and construction form, if it is used and they do not have the user does not have the facilities rule, then the rule is triggered. And then also some vehicle commodity codes will trigger their workflow as well. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what Zach's going to show us today. So I'm going to turn it over to Zach to share his screen and walk you through a little bit about how he sees CSUBUY on a daily basis.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen? This is a typical email that I receive whenever it's part of my facilities review. So I'm going to go through a live actual one, and then we'll go through a test one where we kind of put together some other examples of how we would look through it. So I get this email. I got this one this morning at 10:38. It says facilities review Chico commodity approval. So basically, this is kind of a summary of what I would see. So my normal practice is kind of, let's read through it. Well, it's for $288. This sounds like a very small one. I'm assuming this is stuff they ordered on Amazon.com. I look at it, commodity code 1703. So again, this isn't furniture related, but my first task to kind of figure out, was this really something that should come directly to me, or should this have gone straight through the buyer? I believe when I looked at this one earlier, there was looks like they're buying a compact refrigerator door, mini fridge freezer, 3.5 cubic feet. Again, what I'm really looking for is, when does FMS or facilities get involved? Is it something that they're ordering that went through the proper process? Is it something where, do we have to update their electrical panel? Do we have to change, does it fit through a doorway? Do we have to bring in surplus to remove old furniture? Do we need to do anything that wasn't part of the normal flow if they ordered us a countertop appliance versus something that requires an actual work order or a project request? So once I kind of identify what I'm looking for on this summary email, I kind of scroll all the way down to the link, and then it takes me to my CSUBUY account. Again, this is kind of just everything that's in my requisitions, some points or tips for, again, when you first get into this process. I always kind of look at the action items to see how many things are in here. So it looks like I have 3 requests or requisitions that I need to review. And for this specific demo, I'm just going to look at the facilities review Chico commodity one. So I click on this. The next thing I'm usually looking for is, are there any comments or attachments, right? Because typically, I want to make sure if they know that they're asking for additional help. Fridge previously approved by EHS but arrived broken, has been returned, but exact model order is no longer available. So this is a substitute. Again, typically if it's a large item, I see if there's any attachments that has any specs, sketches or not. For this is considered what I consider a small item. Again, just looking at this, I will go ahead and approve this because this meets all my smaller requirements. Another thing that is submitted usually is which I don't see on here. They did not fill out one of the templates with the forms that ask the questions of, do you need additional assistance? But for this demo, I'm just gonna approve it. So now I'm done. So that's like a real life one. Pretty simple, pretty basic. I probably get 2 to 5 of these a week. For our test page, which will look different than what your normal CSUBUY. This is, we're in our test environment. And the one I'm going to use today is, I have no idea what it is. I'm just going to click on it and see what it looks like. And we'll go through the same basic review process. So again, I look at the general information, seeing is it being delivered to the right spot? Does it have the right billing address? On the right side, kind of talks about all that workflow. In that slide previous, kind of showed all the different approval steps. I'm part of the facilities review. So any purchase that's used through CSUBUY, I review and has the commodity code furniture comes to me. Now I'm looking at some of the summaries of the attachments. Looks like there's real attachments. So for this one, it looks like I click on, this is the one I was looking for, the goods and service requests. So there's three basic template forms that I will look for. It's either goods and services, construction review, or is it facilities or internet?
A punch out, like a punch out catalog, like Amazon.
The
like
Amazon one.
Staples.
Yes. So I click on this. And so again, whenever they're using this form, this is what on the buyer side, they fill out this to make sure that they're using the right requirements. Is this for hospitality? Is it for IT hardware? Is it for services provided by an individual who is, what type of vendor they are within our CSUBUY? How is it being paid? So the next thing is I click on suppliers. It looks like this supplier, Edwin's Equipment New and Refurbished, they are within the CSUBUY, so we don't have to the vendor is already been approved, pre-approved, it's within our system. So I know this is a good one to move forward with. With the form fields, the next thing that I go through to check is the general information. What type of goods or service we're requesting? Furniture. Is this a blanket order? No. Is this a request or renewal or previous purchase? See if the live example I gave, they might have clicked yes on this if they had followed this template. Does this request order include performance terms, start and end date? No. And does the product include a standard or extended warranty? No. And are you requesting goods or services from a sole source or sole brand? So no. So again, I'm just looking through here to kind of look for what I would call like miniature red flags if I need to ask for additional information from the requester, or is it something that I can just approve from this form? The next field is furniture. Looks like this might have been a personal buyer for me, buying furniture for my own office. Is this an on-campus location? Does it provide a full address? And it has a delivery date. Again, these are all things that I'm looking or thinking about in the background that what happens when this piece of equipment or furniture is delivered to campus? Do we have to organize a mover or delivery, or is it coming straight to our mail services and it'll be delivered by our own in-house movers, or is it something that goes directly to the requester's location? So those are all things that you need to look for in this form. Does the furniture or its components require any additional handling? Surprisingly, if it weighs more than, I would say, 200 pounds, I would say yes, they would require additional handling. So these are just things you would look for. Does furniture require any special services? You'll be surprised by the amount of equipment or items that are ordered by the College of Engineering that requires a specialist to install it. So it's one thing just is it plug and go, but do they need to program it? Do they need to make sure it has some type of venting system? Does it need a fume hood? Does it need to upgrade your service panel or your electrical panel? These are all things that we consider when people are ordering these items. So that's what I'm really looking for in my review. Have prior communications or arrangements have been made with your campus facilities and planning department? So if there was a yes, that would typically mean that they've already submitted a work order or a project request, and I would already be aware of. But again, depending on the size of your campus, it's always great if it's always been planned ahead, but I'm always looking for the ones that kind of ordered it without going through our promptest review process. And the next form that is on here is cost detail. Again, I typically don't review cost or how it's going to be paid, but again, usually if it gets to me, that means someone has already approved the purchase of this item. So really there's two ways we pay for things when we buy something at CSU. If it's online, you pay for it, it gets shipped here, it's delivered. If you go through a contract or a procurement process, then it depends on when the equipment or item or furniture is delivered on site. So sometimes there's a pre-cost you spend in or a smaller portion of it, and then once it's delivered on site, they pay the full amount. So hopefully if it's going through the correct review process or submittal process through CSUBUY, this will all be filled out. So yeah, looks like all the forms were completed for this project, and now I will go back to the requisition.
Just a quick
The
note,
next step here,
Zach, the quick
go
note
ahead.
that this form is filled out by your end users. So your end users in the departments are the ones that are filling out this form. So they start the form and then it's coming to facilities.
Okay, thanks. Now just to look at the comments. Again, if there was any special comments or anything that they want to say here, a user or the buyer could put a comment here. And if I need to reply or if there was an actual question here, I could say, thank you. Or typically, really, my questions are, how do you plan to install? And then you can either select, so it looks like this was the buyer. I would say Sarah was the requester to, I don't know. And it would send them an email notification and it would be submitted here. As far as reviewing the attachments, so this is typically where I kind of take a deep dive to figure out if the dimensions or the programming needs or the use of the project or if the equipment or furniture isn't described in any of the previous forms, and I'm looking at the attachments. So yeah, again, this looks like a high precision biological incubator. This is a 60 by 65 by 90 centimeters, so it sounds like something that could sit on a countertop. Looks like it has a standard 220, 240 volt. There's nothing on here so far that kind of raises any red flags that would require any additional FMS or facilities review. And here's the quote that kind of the agreement that when this was requested and how it's going to be paid for. Quote's valid for 30 days, delivery 4 to 6 weeks from order confirmation. So again, so far based on everything I reviewed, there aren't any red flags for this. So I would go ahead and kind of take the next step uh, to assign to pull the full menu of all the action items that I can have. So now these are kind of the tools in my toolbox to how to move forward or move next with this. I can approve it directly. I can either return it to the shared folder. So again, on my canvas, my backup reviewers are the DFO and Jenna. So if I know I'm not going to be here, I can either put it back to them or delegate directly through the forward to process. If there was something that if I had further questions or additional questions, I would place this on hold and then kind of wait for a comment to come back, or I can reach out directly to the requester and ask to have a conversation. If this was something that there was a bunch of red flags and I wanted them to cancel this project and ask them to go through a different review process, I would send this to return to requestionnaire. Again, if you click on this one, this cancels it completely. And the only way to come back to CSUBUY, where they have to refill out the templates and submit or ask the buyer to resubmit the requisition. Again, if I know I'm going to go on vacation or if I know I need to have a specialist review this, like one of our EHS or electricians or our carpenters to review, I would forward it to them directly. And I'm also delegating the approval process for facilities review with this item. And then the last one is just reject requisition altogether. So based on this, everything I've seen, I didn't see any real red flags. I'm going to approve this one to move forward. At this time, once it's through, it's kind of gone out of my list. The only reason it would come back if there were any questions further down the line on the workflow. But I think this is kind of my example. Are there any, or I guess now I can open up the questions to the group. I know when I was first asked to kind of be the facilities review, like first thing I thought, I was like, wait, I'm reviewing every single purchase that happens at Chico State. You got to be out of your mind. You know how many pens and papers and pencils and chairs and desks, height adjustable monitors, shelves, hooks. And they're like, no, that's if it's a small item, then they'll purchase it. But if it's anything that gets that commodity code, there's some value to it, then it'll come through your review. I was like, okay, let me give this 3 months. So I mean, I've been doing this for I guess about 6 months, 8 months, and I probably average, like I say, 10 to 15 on a slow week for small items. Again, whenever I guess people are spending down their budgets, right? They go order a bunch of stuff. So at the end of the school year or the end of the fiscal year, we get a bunch of orders. And then the other time, I'm anticipating or love to see what's going to happen on this first year as new hires come on board, classrooms are started to be used. They're like, oh, we need this for our classroom. So I imagine I'm going to have an influx of large amount of reviews as well. But yeah, I think once we get through this first few months of the school year, I would go back to that 10 to 15 per week. So again, I don't know what your procurement team or your CSUBUY representative is telling you that what you need to prepare yourself for. But again, it's one of those, everyone's fearful of change. But again, if you come with this with an open mind and kind of just go through the steps, really, I'm looking for red flags that I previously would have done if someone had picked up the phone and said, hey, I'm putting a work order in for this, or I'm requesting a project. Because really, as the director of a PDC on my campus, I already know all the big classrooms, right? If we're going to change all the furniture in a classroom, or if we're going to redo a suite renovation, or if we're just building a new building, like I'm already part of that process. This is kind of that catch-off for all the small stuff that they didn't really go out to bid for a project or for furniture because it was within our dollar limit. Then this is where I get to review that. But again, you never know. Someone could receive a grant. They're like, sweet, I'm gonna buy this new 3D printer, and it's doesn't fit through the doorway. Well, how do you get it into your lab space? How do you get it to your office space? Like I'm really the catch off for that middle ground of purchases of furniture and equipment for campus.
Great job, Zach. An example that happened prior to CSUBUY, we got a big piece of equipment that wouldn't fit into the elevator to get to the second floor. We ended up having like a big laser, I think it was, ordered that was too heavy for the third floor of where it was going to be placed. So having these reviews up front prior to the orders getting placed gives facilities a better view of what's coming, what's out there. Hey, let's reach out to the end users, make sure, what are they doing? We didn't know they were ordering this big piece of equipment. We didn't know that they were going to reinstall all this furniture. So this is really kind of that heads up prior to it getting ordered. So know that the end user puts in their requests, it gets approved for funding, and then it comes to facilities for their review. After they're happy with it and after Zach approves it, then it goes to procurement. So the process is basically front loading those approvals prior to issuance of the PO to the supplier. So I think it's important to know that this is just taking that, it's not after the fact, it's actually before the piece of equipment actually hits the dock. So that is super helpful. I wanted to answer one question in there about, is this just Zach? There's a pool of people that your campus will likely designate for a facilities review. So on our campus, it's Zach and Jenna and Randy, and the three of them are in a pool together for the facilities review. So as a requisition comes, any of those three can grab the requisition, assign it to themselves, and work on it, just like Zach showed. If they didn't get the review completely done, they can return it back to the folder. Then it's available for one of the other three to grab. So that pool of people make sure that it's not just coming to Zach. And Zach won the lottery yesterday, so he's not going to get to those approvals. So Jenna and Randy will have to do that for him. So that's how our campus set it up, as having that kind of pool of people. And I would recommend at least two. It could be more. And then between Zach, Randy, and Jenna, they just have it kind of worked out like, hey, I'm going to do all these, but when I'm on vacation, you grab them. Or, hey, I can't get to any of these, so can you guys grab them? So you can figure out how you want to manage that on your own campus. Jennifer, you have, if a requisition is for services that facilities should be doing, will that come to the no, I'm assuming you're talking about like our own facilities personnel. Like I need a painter to come and paint the window frame. No, that doesn't go through CSUBUY. CSUBUY is only for if we're paying somebody to do those services. So if a department all of a sudden does a goods and services request for a painter, and that painter, it's they say if they answer it correctly, then it's, oh wow, this is needs to go to facilities. If it bypassed facilities by some reason, maybe the commodity code selected was such that it went around facilities. When it got to procurement can look at it and say, whoa, wait a minute. I think this really does need a facilities review. So they can, same thing, take the action and they can push it back to facilities and say, hey, Zach, can you take a look at this? Somebody wants to hire a painter to paint, a windowsill. Is this okay? So that would be something where it can kind of go both ways. Hi, Joe. What you got?
I wasn't clear on the answer to the question. So is the commodity code assigned based on how you fill out that questionnaire?
Yes, generally, yes. It's either by how you're selecting. So if I select equipment, it's going to populate that equipment commodity code. If I select other, obviously the system doesn't know what other is. At that other point, I have to actually put in a commodity code. So me, the end user who's entering that requisition, I get to choose from the commodity code list. So okay, if they select other, then that could potentially bypass all these.
So if you put in a chair and you classify the chair as an office supply instead of furniture, will it bypass the system, or somebody's going to catch that?
Yes, it would bypass facilities. If it's a goods and services form, it would still stop in procurement. So your buyer would then look at it and go, wait a minute, this is a chair. This isn't an office supply. That's incorrect. So the buyer would then turn and say, I'm going to return this to the requester and say, hey, Sarah, please update the commodity code correctly. So when you return something, the end user gets to, they can make some updates. If then they make their updates, they save it, then all of a sudden the system now knows that is furniture. So that one would go to Zach.
So for auxiliaries, does that mean then our stuff like that will flow through campus? Or will that still be because it's within our purchasing environment?
If the compliance is for your campus, it will go to your facilities, I believe.
Okay, so that seems to add an extra layer of complexity to it than what's currently being done. But okay.
Yeah, it's if you're not getting facilities reviews now, then this would be an extra layer. If you don't go through facilities for anything, then yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, it's Milton. Quick question. So, just out of curiosity, though, how did the smaller the CSUs that are on CSUBUY, how did they handle educating the department to select the right expend code? Because you can see the problem, right? If they just choose other, and then purchase is going to be spending a lot of time kicking it back. So I guess, is there some tricks to it? Because my number one reaction is to say restrict that, make sure that they're picking the right spend category, so that way it doesn't have to go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, in training, there's a big laundry list in the goods and services form, a big laundry list of different items. And we train people to be as specific as you can, right? So other should be the absolutely last resort. Is it equipment? Is it, gosh, I can't even remember all the list of them, but there's a big long list. And so if they select anything that's on the list, it's going to populate the commodity code correctly. Now, remember, you have a commodity code that is associated with an account code. So that is like the best way for end users to do it, because if they select the commodity code, their account code's already populated, their chart field's halfway done. So we really have said pick the most specific, use the right form for one, and pick the right, answer the questions correctly. Don't go directly to other and say, oh, I'm going to go to other because it's going to it'll bypass everything. Or I go to other and then I put in furniture and it's going to go through facilities anyway. So yeah, it's a training thing of just making sure that we select the most appropriate, the closely aligned.
Sarah, there's one I think that would be good to talk through. I didn't answer it in the chat, but how will facilities review come into play for construction service projects and maintenance?
Explain that a little more to me. Are you talking about like a construction project or?
I guess, hi, I'm Lauren. I'm the one who asked.
Hey, Lauren.
I guess I'm more just curious as to what will trigger services to be reviewed by any type of services. So like, let's just say they're buying well, you said there's another form, right, as well. Could you maybe talk about that?
For facilities and construction, there's a form called facilities and construction form. That form is utilized for just that, like actual construction. I'm going to do a TOCA. I'm going to do a TOSA. Okay. I'm going to do a collaborative design build, new construction, maintenance project, those kind of things. That form is specific to construction activities. That form would always route to facilities. If it gets kind of complicated, but in the facilities department, you can have a facilities role. So if I am the admin in the facilities department and Zach tells me to enter a requisition for a TOCA. Okay, fine. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do that. I enter the requisition. Well, it would be silly if facilities is telling me I'm in facilities to enter a facilities rec, and then it goes and routes to facilities. That's silly. So it bypasses that facilities role if it's somebody with this or facilities review, if it's somebody with that role. So it's kind of confusing, but just think of like, if I am in facilities and I don't need facilities review for things, so I can enter something and it go through. So I think that's what you're talking about, right? Like TOCAs, TOSAs in the encumbrance only piece of the agreements.
Yeah, that answers that portion. I guess I'm just kind of clear on how, let's just say a department puts in a request for a service that involves installation or something that would make it have to go through facilities. What's catching that? Is it just that installation checkbox pretty much? Okay.
Yeah, it's either the commodity code, so it's that furniture commodity code. It's the form, so if it's the facilities and construction form, that one's going. Or it's how I answer the questions in the goods and service. If I say yes, there's installation required, and yes, they need to do wiring or something more complicated, then that one is going to route as well. So I think those are the only three. Did I miss any two? I think it's form.
Yep. There's form questions, the construction form, which
the construction,
and commodity code. The construction form can be limited on your campus. That's a configuration component that can be done as well, where we only want facilities or CPDC type of organization on a campus to have that visibility. That is an option that's built. Most of our campuses have that in place where, Joe Bob from chemistry shouldn't be putting in a request for construction. It should come from facilities, right? So that is an option too. It just depends on what your campus has configured. within the application for this particular step.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. The facilities and construction form, if somebody is clicking around, we have people on our campus that have FOMO. They want to fill out everything. They want to try this form and try that form. If they grab the facilities form and they go in and they put it all together and they put all their stuff in there, at the point of they're going to submit the requisition, they get an error. They say the error actually says you're attempting to use a request form that is allowed for users within the facilities role. This form is only available to individuals in the facilities department. So on my campus, that's how that rolls. It limits anybody. So if somebody from chemistry wants to put in, I'm going to put in a construction project, and they're going to use that form, they can't. It won't even save. It won't go through. And they get this message that said, nice try, but that you need to go to facilities. Facilities is the one that enters these requests.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jennifer, I see your question. What prevents campus partners from just categorizing everything as goods and services or as other, right? I guess prevents is I don't know how I could prevent that. Know that every goods and services requisition that comes through stops in procurement. So your procurement partners are the ones that are going to stop it and say, wait a minute, this isn't just goods and services. This is construction. I don't think so. So they're the gate at that point.
So just to follow up on that, is there a dollar value?
No.
Okay, so if it's $5, it still gets seen by somebody.
If it's on a form, if it's on that
if
goods
it's
and
on a
services form, yeah.
If it's $5 from Amazon, we do not see it.
What's the threshold?
Or $5 from B&H Photo, or $5 from Staples, or our punch out catalogs, which is our contracted suppliers. Those transactions do not all stop in procurement or go in through any workflow, unless if they go to Staples and they buy an electric desk and they put that in there, it's going to populate a commodity code as being furniture. That's going to trigger and go, and Zach's going to see a Staples order in his review to evaluate.
So on the punch out catalog, is there a dollar amount then? Like if I bought a bunch of, like if somebody on campus is buying drills and hammers and paint and God knows what else, is that going to catch at some point if it's on a punch out catalog?
You want me to take that?
Yeah.
You want me to take that? Yeah.
Yep.
So in a punch out catalog, Jennifer, so we do have a low dollar, low value, low risk rule in the application. It's basically if I'm buying something that is like $10 worth of Staples, right? Procurement doesn't need to see it. It goes to financial approval with DOA and then it flies through. So as long as it's a low risk punch out order that is less than $5,000, it does bypass procurement. We do our best within the application to map various UNSPSC code, that's what suppliers use, to our commodity codes, right? To default the correct commodity code in our world. However, suppliers such as Amazon may not do it correctly, right? What they call it versus what we call it. So there's a level of gray in there where we do our best to train our end users just to put the right commodity code, and then that flies through. That's where earlier Sarah was having a hard time saying the word prevent, because we can't 100% prevent an end user or somebody from being mischievous and bypass our rules.
So recently, and I'll just tell on my own campus, I don't have my campus on there, but anyway, over in San Bernardino, this might have happened, where a department ordered an arc welder from Amazon. And the person who ordered it was not trained or otherwise had safety equipment to do that, or train, anything. Yep. We caught it on the back end. That welder was already here. They ordered it from Amazon. So I'm just curious, like on stuff like that, it probably will still fly through, right?
There is still
I'm guessing that would come up as equipment, and equipment would not fly through.
Mm.
So the classification, as long as Amazon's classifying it as equipment, that would not fly through. So even if it was $5 and it was high risk and I'm buying it from Amazon, it says equipment and it's only $5, then that's going to stop in procurement.
Yeah.
So it's low dollar, low risk, under 5 on a punch out catalog, which have competitively bid agreements.
Thank you.
I'm thinking that would have gotten caught, Jennifer.
Yeah. Is DOA level 5 required for fly-throughs? It is. So all financial review happens, meaning DOA occurs, if your campus has a level 5 DOA approval, and it has been enabled for auto approval, it will auto approve. So it will look like it stopped, but it didn't really stop. So when you go back and look at the transaction, Serena would be the one who submitted it. It will show that Serena at that point in time auto approved at DOA level 5, and then it moves on. So it looks like it stopped, but it doesn't really stop. But this is built on the campus building out level 5 as an auto approval. We consume that.
You have the
data in
option of
CSUBUY.
turning that on or turning that off.
Correct.
Just to clarify, if we have it off, there's still a DOA approval on fly-throughs, is that right? Or
Yeah.
no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
So hopefully if you're a DOA approval, which Zach is also a DOA approver, hopefully your DOA approver is looking and saying, wow, why are we buying a bunch of, hammers and equipment and stuff like that? Like, wait a minute. So there is the second pair of eyes on those transactions. So the last slide we have is your local campus contacts. So these are the project leads on your respective campuses. If you have questions, you want to talk through the configuration, how this is going to change your business processes, these are the people to chat with. Myself or any other strategic advisors are always available to come and walk through it with you, look at your configuration, bring our knowledge of what CSUBUY does and try and help you, bridge that gap. That's why we're here. But reach out to your campus contacts. They also will be posting this demo on their campus websites so that you can access them at any time and go back and read through and, what did they say about this? And what did that look like? So that'll be out there as well. So we want to thank you for coming today and for your attendance, and hopefully see you soon in CSUBUY.